All right, we're recording.
Okay, we're recording. Let's go. Oh my.
I'm recording already?
Oh, you're recording after. Oh no, everything's gone.
Everything's gone.
It's just a desert wasteland out
I didn't
here.
even plan to start recording, Edward, I'll be honest.
I know. I could tell. Do you want to just edit all this out and then go for another cold open?
Chile. That's where we are.
We're in Chile.
I meant we're in the cold.
Hey guys, if you listened to the last episode, you might have heard a terrible, horrible truth.
We got robbed.
Somebody took it all. They took the walls, the floors, the ceiling.
They didn't take our podcasting equipment, though.
Yeah, they left that. So I guess so we could live in shame publicly.
Yeah, we needed to talk about it.
Shout out
to the people.
Shout out to 30-year-old Floridians.
It was so odd. Michael and Jeremy.
So should we introduce their podcast
Michael
first?
and Jeremy have a little podcast
called Michael and Jeremy Steal Your Podcast.
And I got a DM saying, "Hey, we're gonna take your podcast." Now, I want to clarify. They have a way to submit your podcast to them. We did not do that.
Yeah.
They found us on their own accord.
They must have just been scrolling.
Oh, Cricket's here. Hi,
dog.
Cricket.
They didn't take the dog
They
either.
didn't take the dog either, which was really kind of
She is
them.
pretty fierce.
Yeah, did you growl at them, Cricket?
Did
Here,
you bark
tell
real
the
loud?
people. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
That's what Cricket said.
Yeah.
But no, it was so odd, and I got the I got the DM, and they were like, "You can hop on the recording if you want." I was going to my family house, extended family's house, and I was like, "Yeah, no, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna call up Edward.
I'm not gonna tell Edward about this until the episode gets released."
I thought I told you. I think I told Clara, and then I just didn't.
Shows where your priorities are at.
But yeah, I told Clara.
Maybe you can co-host a podcast with Clara next time.
I'm sorry. You were right there. No, but I got this, and I was like, oh, that sounds so cool. Sorry, we can't join today. I really wish we could have.
That would have been
After
crazy.
hearing it?
After hearing that was
I wish.
Those guys were pretty funny.
I think the scariest part was hearing them just talk about us.
Yeah.
They were
the
just
parts where they were just riffing off each other like podcasters. That was fine. They were good. They were funny.
Mm-hmm.
But when they were talking about the product that we make,
it was really weird because they were just kind of, obviously they're talking to their audience who have no clue who we are.
Yeah, because we made this podcast assuming the only people who would listen to it know who we are.
No, but when they were just kind of regurgitating information that we said in the first episode.
What are our analytics like since that? Has there been a spike in viewership anywhere?
I'll check. Okay, Edward, it was the weirdest thing though, because I was sitting there and I'm like, oh my god, we're famous.
Yeah, I mean, they complimented us
on knowing how to be good at
on being funny.
Podcasting?
Yeah.
Are we good at podcasting?
Well, I don't know about good. We're as good as Michael and Jeremy. We're not as good as Michael and Jeremy.
No.
They have higher production quality.
Our top content has been Halloween.
Has it grown
in
a lot?
In the past 28 days.
Has it grown a lot since? When did they drop their episode?
I think it was early December.
That sounds right.
So last year, because it's 2025 now.
Did Michael and Jeremy drive a bunch of their fan base to us? And if so, hello, podcast stealer fan base.
Yeah, go tell Michael and Jeremy that we talked about them.
Yeah. They can do we can just start a chain of responses that'll go on forever.
Exactly. No, I thought it was so funny because they just kind of kept on saying stuff, and I was like, that's what we said in our podcast.
Yeah. Should we address their one baseless claim, though?
That we're in love with each other?
Yeah, guys, no.
Guys, so many people think this.
Guys, Claire and I have a very mutual
I've talked
clause.
about this with so many people. I have a platonic list of friends.
Yeah.
At the very top, it's Zachary, for obvious reasons.
For so many reasons. Hi, Zach.
He doesn't listen
He'll
to this.
never listen to it.
He will never listen to it.
And it's why he's one of my best friends in the world.
On the top of the list of the platonic friends is Zachary, and then it's Edward.
That's crazy. I don't keep a list, but just like with all due respect, you know.
Yeah. No, same.
It's the same deal I have going with Clara.
It's to the point where my parents are literally like visiting my aunt right now.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, podcasts. And I'm like, yeah, obviously. Podcasts.
Ooh,
so
Edward's solo portion?
Yeah, Edward, talk. If you need to like leave a long moment of silence, I'll edit it out. I'm gonna go let the dog...
I'm actually gonna free ball. That's crazy.
I'm gonna go let the dog out.
Alright, cool. Guys, I'm gonna talk to you about music albums. Because that's one thing that I do a lot of that Claire does less of. And I'm gonna give you some recommendations based on my recent listening. Alright, let's go pick some of my favorites from recently. Shout out to all of you who are still here and not skipping to when Claire comes back. I don't know if she'll edit this out. Alright, let's start with, for any fans of rock music in the audience, that's a broad genre, I'll narrow it down. For any fans of metal in the audience, which is still broad, but I'll narrow it down even further. If you understand words like industrial metal, metalcore, and easycore, I would love to recommend you all The Death of Peace of Mind by Bad Omens. If you don't understand it, I'll explain it. Metalcore is a fusion of punk and of hardcore punk and metal, and easycore is essentially a fusion of pop punk and metal. And they don't really embody either of those fully, but they have this sound that has this very clean industrial mechanical sound to it that merges really well with like these sort of harsher breakdowns. Admittedly, lyrically, it is a little bit broody. It's very much like, ugh, I'm so sad. But it's a good listen. It's a lot of fun. And then since I can hear her descending.
She lied to me.
You know what? I recommended a whole one album to the audience.
She lied to me. Cricket lied to me.
Cricket lied to you just like you lied to me about our podcast getting stolen.
I didn't lie to you. I just didn't tell you.
You straight up like received a note like, we're gonna rob you. What if you were living in a house with me? Like we were like roommates or whatever.
Yeah, they were like, we're gonna steal your podcast.
And somebody nailed a letter to our door like, we're gonna go rob you. And you were like, hey Edward, I told Clara about this, but not you. And I'm like, where's my TV, Claire?
My initial reaction was like, oh, are they gonna like hack our podcast? That was my like, I thought they were like fully gonna,
and they were gonna like upload one episode from our podcast.
No, fully. I thought they were gonna
that would be such a sick gimmick if you knew how to do that.
I thought they were fully just gonna like kind of like,
and like what, use this to promote crypto coins?
I don't know what they were gonna try and do, but my whole thought was like, oh no, we're about to get like,
yeah. And then you did more digging on them?
And then I was like, hey, so what does that entail? And they're just like, we're just going to do it in our style. And I was like, great. That's fine.
You go
for
30-year-old Floridians.
I didn't know they were 30-year-old Floridians.
It's like in the description of not the Florida part, but the 30-year-old part is in the description of their podcast.
I like how they're two 30-year-old men talking about two 17-year-old children.
Yeah.
And then they talk about how they think we're gonna date.
Yeah. You know what, Jeremy and Michael, live your truth. We choose to upload it on the internet. It means anyone can listen to it.
It does mean that, and I understand that now.
Did that not click to you before?
Well, it became a lot more real when they dropped their podcast.
To be clear, at least I don't know about Claire. I personally had no problem with anything they did or said.
Me neither.
I think it's funny.
It was a shock.
Because there was one point where one of them, I think it was Michael, was talking about our Instagram, and then Jeremy was like, oh, so you're stalking children on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know funny. What? This dude gets that what he's doing is inherently a little bit strange.
They address it. Yeah. I just think it's so odd that they found us on their own accord.
Yeah, like, and then actually listened to enough to be like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, they talked about...
That's my one swear word for the episode, guys.
Oh my gosh. It's PG-13 now.
I'm pushing for NC-17.
Oh no.
I'm gonna make this like Deadpool, guys.
But yeah, everything they said was just like literally what we explained in the first episode.
Yeah. Well, because they only listened to the first episode.
They only listened to the first episode.
Which is like, admittedly, it's like a 5 out of 10. It's like a rank 5 out of 10
It's
episode.
like how we listened to one episode of their podcast.
Yeah.
So now it's even.
Yeah, but like we listened to the episode where they already had like got things going.
Right.
They listened to the episode where we were like what is their first episode? Let's see. Let's investigate.
Will you investigate?
Old Mikey and JJ.
It was so odd because they were talking about us, but then they were dispersing it with like
Their own tangents.
really, really odd tangents.
Yeah. And it did make me think, hey, maybe we're not so bad.
Like they would so often get off topic and then be like, "Oh, right, we're supposed to be talking about these two children." Like that whole part where they talked about the abortion laws for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was weird.
You know what? At least one of them was pro-choice.
Yeah. At least one of them was. For two 30-year-old Floridians, that's pretty good, though.
So yeah, their first episode was, I think they were talking about ghosts and then Florida men.
Huh.
Which seems a little self-referential. That would be like us doing an episode on theater kids. Wait, hold up.
Hold up.
All right, we held up. Let's keep moving.
Something that their podcast reminded me of is I have a really good roller coaster story.
Ooh.
They talked about roller coasters in G-Force.
Yeah, do you want to talk about, you want to tell your roller coaster story here?
So
This is going to be another unscripted, isn't it?
no, it's not.
Okay.
I have it written down. See?
Okay, yeah.
Claire roller coaster story.
Okay.
So when I went to Paris in
Yeah.
2022
Yeah.
or 2023, that's when it was, 2023, I went on a roller coaster at Le Parc Astérix, which is Asterix Park.
Yeah, I assumed. For those of you who don't know, Asterix and Obelix are two popular figures of French fiction. They're Gauls, right? That's what they are.
Sure.
And they're kind of like Vikings, and they fight off the Romans, and they drink special juice that makes them strong.
But yeah, we went to this theme park, and they have a roller coaster there that has 7 loops.
That's wild.
And see, I'm more affected by G-force than most normal
Because
humans.
blood doesn't always reach your brain.
Yeah. So is my dad. So like,
Well, but yeah, but your dad's tall, so
he had this same problem as me when we were there. We went on this ride. I was sat next to this just random French guy
yeah.
who talked to me in French quite a bit, and especially after.
And it was actually Michael and Jeremy
It was
casing their job.
actually Michael and Jeremy before we even made the podcast. No, so I was sat next to this random man, and we were going, and it went on, and the loops
Yeah.
were right, like
Like they were consecutive?
They were consecutive. And on the 7th loop, my vision went black.
Oh my god, like the murder coaster. Have you ever heard of the murder coaster?
No.
Do you finish telling
I'll
your story?
finish this.
And then, yeah.
But yeah, my vision went black for like a second.
Yeah?
Because I like kind of half fainted.
Yeah?
So did my dad. I talked to him after. But like we both kind of half fainted. And then we got off and we had headaches for the rest of the day. It was really fun.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. What's the murder coaster?
All right, so it was this design that was theorized by some kind of architect, I think, or engineer. Mm-hmm. And basically the theory behind it was it would be a painless form of euthanasia/execution.
Oh.
And basically what it is, it's a roller coaster where you go down your first drop, right? And then it is just concentric loops that get smaller and smaller. And basically the entire theory is that the G-force just continually pulls the blood away from your brain so that by the time you get out of the last loop, you're just dead.
On purpose?
Yes.
Does this exist or is this just
No,
theory?
this was a
Okay.
theoretical design.
Thank God.
And you can ride it right now in this desert that we're sitting in.
You're right. The desert is pretty
It's a
barren.
desert with a bunch of Mad Max cars and the murder coaster.
Oh, it is like in Deadpool and Wolverine.
I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, for all you fans out there who have seen Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah.
I would buy the popcorn bucket though.
Good for you, Edward.
I will say, Dune made me want to start collecting popcorn buckets, not for the gross reason, but just because some of them are so funny.
They're just...
Like, have you seen the popcorn bucket for the War of the Rohirrim?
No.
So, the War of the Rohirrim, do you know what it is?
No.
So, it's basically an anime movie set in the world of Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And their popcorn bucket, was a actual size, like, Warhammer. So it was like the popcorn bucket was the hammer part, but then it had about a 3 or 4 foot long handle. And it's just, how do you eat out of that?
That would be such a hassle in the theater.
Yeah.
Everything's just for the internet nowadays.
Exactly.
But back to Michael and Jeremy. If you couldn't tell, we're taking a page out of their book.
Yeah, by barely talking about the topic of our episode.
This is actually Claire and Edward Steal Your Podcast.
This is Claire and Edward Got Robbed.
Got robbed.
Is that going to be the title of our episode?
Yes.
Just another two guys insurance claim.
This is proof that we had ownership beforehand.
Yeah.
No, I think like halfway through, they started like trying to steal our podcast.
Yeah. But our first episode,
we don't have anything.
Yeah, we don't talk about anything.
We didn't create the BuzzFeed thing. Like,
Yeah.
if we had the BuzzFeed thing from the very beginning, they could have done the BuzzFeed thing.
Yeah.
But we
There
didn't
wasn't a
have
lot
any
there.
gimmicks.
Which maybe is a testament to how solid we are as hosts, then, I guess, would be the one thing I could infer from that. Because they must have listened to one episode and enjoyed it enough to be like, hey, we should steal this, and then got to the point, like, it would be like our conspiracy theories episode, where they had a topic and they had a good idea in mind, and they liked that idea enough that it took them that long to realize that it was a bad one.
Yeah. But then they were too far gone,
Yeah.
and they were like, well, we already told these
Well, we're going to talk about our teacher who's in prison. Oh,
yeah.
They do talk about
They
that
did
in the
talk
episode
about
where
that.
they are stealing from children.
It's so... The things that they talk about on that podcast...
Specifically the episode
where
that
they
had...
talk about children.
Yeah.
They acknowledge the fact that we're like 17, 18.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know how old
And
we
then they
are.
talk about, like, abortion rights and weird, creepy people.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael and Jeremy.
You really brought light to our lives.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually look deeper into Michael and Jeremy because they also got mad that we had a larger Instagram presence.
No, just slightly smaller.
Yeah, just
Which, by the way,
slightly
guys,
smaller now.
pump up the Instagram so we can beat Michael and Jeremy. Also, leave a bunch of Spotify reviews for that same reason. Because those are the only two metrics where we can really measure.
I'm trying to build just another two guys podcast. No, but they got really like into figuring out why, and then they were like, maybe they just have more friends, which is exactly the reason. Actually, all of our friends just went and followed the podcast. They posted the thing that they posted on their Instagram was like, Edward and Claire were not expecting to have their podcast stolen from two dudes in their 30s. No, we were not. They also have a band of the week.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
Which is really cool.
We could do something like that.
We could, but
You know, maybe this week we should do a band of the week to steal from them.
we are stealing from Michael and Jeremy, so we're gonna do a band of the week.
So they do have 100 followers to our...
If I were to name my band of the week,
Yeah.
I would say it's only Darren Chris.
Is this what we're listening to this week? Because then I don't know if it's technically
I feel
a
like they
band.
just shout out bands that they like.
Okay, well then I want to shout out Cleopatra. It's two guys. I think they're Canadian. So far they've only got one studio album, but they've released a bunch of singles. They are a duo of like guitar and drums. They make sort of like I think they're technically constituted as post grunge, but they make like rock music, and they've got a very like angry and distorted sound. And they've got like these really like angry and like super dynamic and fun songs. And you guys should all go listen to Cleopatra.
My band of the week is going to be the Glee cast. Specifically, actually, only the songs that Darren Chris is in. They're the only good ones. Believe it or not.
So technically, they are according to Wikipedia, they make alternative rock, indie rock, grunge, blues rock, and hard rock.
Is this the Glee cast?
No, this is Cleopatra.
Ah, nuts, guys.
I heard somebody talking about Darren Criss, and apparently he's like everywhere, always.
He is, yeah.
Does he like make his life doing podcasts and conventions now?
Ugh, I wish. There would be so much content of him.
Is that how he makes his living?
No, he mostly goes to a lot of concerts because he's a really good singer. He's on Broadway right now. He's in Maybe Happy Ending.
I don't know what that is.
It's a new Broadway show.
Is it good?
I've never seen it. I would assume it's good.
There's no slime tutorial about it?
I doubt it.
Have you looked?
No. I don't plan to. If I were to ever see Darren Criss in person, I would want it to be a surprise.
Well, this wouldn't be in person.
Exactly. So if I ever go to Broadway, well, he's in Maybe Happy Ending on Broadway. I would want it to
And then you can go, like, profess your undying love?
Yes, exactly. Listen, Darren Criss, if you so happen to stumble upon this podcast, Michael and Jeremy did, so you might too.
There's a chance. Darren Criss, if you listen to Michael and Jeremy steal your podcast and that set you onto our podcast.
Okay, listen. This would be such a weird...
You could go hit up Darren Criss if you want.
This would be such a weird, timeline. But imagine, Michael and Jeremy, they get guests on their podcast. Yeah. One of those guests just so happens to be Darren Criss. We have an in now.
The other option, Claire, technically, if you really want, you could DM Darren Criss on Instagram and be like, hey, do you want to be a guest on our podcast?
Personal account or a podcast account?
Absolutely up to you.
Dear Darren.
I think you're going to be way more...
Should Darren Criss be the third person followed on our...
up to you,
on
man.
our podcast account?
Up to you.
Dear Darren.
Because the thing is, if you get Darren Criss on as a guest on an episode...
Hi, Darren.
I am going to spend most of my time sitting there and twiddling my thumbs.
This is what I'm writing. Hi, Darren. This is a podcast. I'm not writing that. I'm done. I can't.
You can do it later if you really want.
I think it would be crazy if
but
we had real people on our
just
podcast.
Do that.
No one would listen to it.
Yeah. It would just be Darren Criss taking...
We're just another two crazed fans reaching out.
I'm not a fan. Sorry, Darren.
I'll say that. Edward's not a fan.
Darren can educate me on the validity of Glee.
Why? Why are you making Darren do that? Just watch Glee.
I watched the first season of Glee, and the first 5 or 6 episodes or whatever, I was like, man, I'm really into this as a weird offbeat comedy with musical numbers. And then by the time I got to the end of the season, I was like, so much has happened. It's like a soap opera now, and there's been a birth.
Yeah.
It has such a break.
Just watch up to
it's such a breakneck
the
pace,
end of season 3.
But nothing happens at the same time.
Just watch up to the end of season 3, and then the last episode.
What if instead you provided me a list of 5 episodes a season to watch?
I could do that. That's what I did about 2 months ago. That's the other reason we couldn't record the podcast.
Because you were watching
I was watching Glee. Oh.
You heard it here first, Darren Criss.
Listen.
Was it that you were only watching the episodes with Darren Criss in them?
That's the reason why I started watching.
Who is Darren Criss? I need to see a picture.
That's why I started watching Glee, because I was watching Star Kid.
Oh, so he just looks like he's on a D&D podcast.
Yeah, so I was watching Star Kid stuff, and I was like, I need more Darren Criss content. No, I found out that he was on Glee, and I'm gonna I'm gonna watch the thing that that one guy was on.
Yeah.
And I only watched it from season 2, episode something, Never Been Kissed. Yeah, and that's the episode that Darren Criss
is that the only episode?
No,
Or is he in the series from then on?
He's basically in the series from then on. They had him as kind of a occasional character, and then he came back because everyone loved him.
Because I remember the first season of that show covered way too much ground.
Oh yeah, they set up way too much stuff.
Yeah. And they also specifically named a character Jessie so that one character could sing Jessie's Girl.
I know, that's so funny, isn't it? No, but I'm doing the same thing that they did, which is they would always finish talking about a topic, and then they would go back to talking about us.
Yeah.
Michael and Jeremy.
Jekyll and Maramy.
I was like, oh yeah, these two sound like they're from Florida, and then they were like, we're in Florida.
One of them straight up sounded like that one improv performer from Edmonton whose name I'm not going to out.
Right.
You know the one. I sent you a text about it.
You told me about this. My
Like, just same voice and everything.
I wonder how they would, like, react if they found out that we were Canadian. Like, if they figured out that
Goddamn communists.
If they found out that we were Canadian, how much different do you think that podcast would have been?
Oh, it would have been so many Canada jokes. It would have been all Canada jokes.
Oh, we would have, because they're from Florida, too. It's like how we're making jokes about how they're from Florida.
Yeah, and how, I don't know, they live in hurricane country.
They literally do. Do you think they go to Disney World a lot?
Do you think they ride the hurricane?
Do you think they have 12 alligators in their basement?
Do you think their thefts are so easy because so much crime happens in Florida?
Edward, don't joke about this. We just got robbed. We're literally sitting in the barren wasteland.
I told you that a burglar alarm would be a good idea, and you'd be like, who's gonna rob a podcast?
I did say that. I was like, who would want to steal our podcast?
Who would want? No, you said who would steal a podcast? Exactly, those were your words, and you were like, and then it was like Michael,
and that was
Michael
a
and
calling card.
Yeah,
that was like it's like the bat signal. Yeah. They had like a little their hairs. One
of them sat up in bed in a cold sweat
and went. And they found out about the Just Another Two Guys podcast. And that's how they figured it out. We said, we're never going to get robbed. Yeah. And then they robbed us.
We summoned them.
And that's like how, when you prepare to, when you're like, no, we didn't knock on wood. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because it would have ruined the recording. See? Everything's ruined.
Oh, no.
You've broken it.
That didn't even like register very well on my headphones.
So I can just...
No, not you. That makes
more
noise.
So it's because you didn't take the time and energy to save us.
I'm sorry, Edward. I'm sorry we got robbed. I was expecting them to do more. Like, honestly, they didn't do much with our podcast.
They didn't even say a list of things they would talk about in the future. That's what we did on our first episode.
I know. They just said that we talked about it. Edward, you're never going to believe this, but I have a which podcast should I listen to next?
I thought you were going to go with a which famous criminal are you? That's where my brain went for this. We could do both.
Yeah, we'll do both.
We've got time for a 2-in-1.
You should look up which famous criminal are you? Because I already have a which podcast should you listen to next. I'll send it to you, and then you can send.
This is going to be a short episode.
We need to spice it up.
Do you want to do what celebrity criminal or what famous serial killer?
What famous serial killer?
I'm going to do what celebrity criminal. I feel like that's good. Because serial killer's too narrow, you know?
That's fair.
This is from the Crime Museum.
Sorry,
which one do you want to do first?
Let's do podcast, and then we'll end it off with
all right, sick.
Celebrity,
all right.
You know?
How would your friends describe you? Energetic,
personable, confident, profound, quirky, or observant.
How would you describe me, Claire?
Either confident or observant.
Okay, you're definitely either energetic or quirky.
I'm a little quirky. Oh my god. Someone.
I'm gonna go with observant. I like sitting and watching.
I'll say, I don't want to say quirky. My mother has called me quirky to my face.
If you believe in your heart and your soul that you're quirky...
I'm saying quirky.
Guys, you heard it here first. How would you describe yourself? Fierce. Knowledgeable. Funny. Sharp. Persistent. Or quiet. I'm pretty knowledgeable. I know a lot. I know a little about a lot of things.
I don't want to say any of these, because... Can I say persistent? Because I just keep...
Because that's how this podcast got founded?
Yep.
Sure, go for it.
Yep.
If you had to eat one of these foods for the rest of your life, which would it be? Pizza, salad, bread?
Edward, I think you should pick
Ice
bread.
Cream, pasta, or steak?
I think you should pick bread.
See, but here's the thing. There is a correct answer to this question.
Mm-hmm. What's the correct
answer? The objectively correct answer is salad.
Because there's so many salads?
Yes, there are so many ingredients that can go in a salad.
Thank you, Edward. But there's so many ingredients
Pick
that can go in
a male
bread.
celeb. Timothy Chalamet. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Dwayne the Sock Ronson. Kanye West. Oh, this is an old quiz.
Kanye West.
Steve Carell or Bryan Cranston.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. That guy.
Steve Carell.
That guy.
Pick a female celeb. Beyonce.
Gotta thank Beyonce.
Do you want to read this one off?
Thank you, Beyonce. Thank you, Beyonce, for everything that you do. Jennifer Lopez, Emma Watson, Anne Hathaway, Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, this is really old.
Kristen Stewart.
I can picture the face of, like, who's Kristen Stewart again? What did she do?
Who knows?
Was she Katniss Everdeen?
That is Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay, I'm gonna look this up. Who's Kristen Stewart?
I'm gonna go Anne Hathaway. She's cool.
Kristen Stewart is this person. So she was Cat. Was this
no,
that catnip?
That's from Twilight.
Oh, Bebbles. Yeah.
Twilight.
I gotta go back and restart the quiz. Hold up.
Finn and I were in a record shop
Yeah.
the other day.
I was there when you went into the record shop.
Yeah, we saw a Twilight record, and we almost bought it for you.
You were wise to not do that.
Because we were like, it's funny. Anyway, moving on to the next one.
I'm gonna pick also Anne Hathaway because she's funny.
Pick a TV show.
Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown,
Ooh.
Grey's Anatomy, Stranger Things, This Is Us, Breaking Bad, and The Office. I've literally only watched one of those shows. It's The Office, and I didn't really enjoy it.
I'm gonna pick Stranger Things.
I'm gonna pick Breaking Bad because a lot of people have told me to watch that.
I'm picking Stranger
Where is the best place to listen to a podcast? In the car, at the gym, in your room, outside, at work, in the bathroom.
I think it really depends on the podcast.
See, I put podcasts on while I'm playing video games.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say in my room.
I'm gonna say outside because I like going for walks.
Okay.
And listening to podcasts.
Okay, what'd you get?
Oprah's Super Soul Conversations.
I got Case File True Crime Podcast.
You didn't get Michael and Jeremy
I
steal
didn't
your
get-
podcast?
I mean, it's crime.
That's true.
Should we read the descriptions?
You're a very insightful person who loves to discover new things about yourself, others, and the world around you. You're a well-read individual and are always on the journey to become the best version of yourself.
Okay. You're very observant and investigative. You're curious and always pay close attention to detail. You tend to keep you to yourself and love a good story.
That checks out for you, actually.
Except the part where I always pay attention to detail.
Yeah.
All right, should we hit up Which Celebrity Criminal Are You?
Yes.
From the Crime Museum?
Yes.
Which is, I think, my favorite name for a website now.
Let's start. Pick a color. A pale ivory color sounds nice.
Black.
Who cares? I'm awesome.
Pink.
It changes a lot.
It honestly does.
Can I say who cares? I'm awesome.
You fully can. Man, you really are hammering home the quirky personality. Where would you most like to travel? New York, all over the world?
France.
France, a nice town in Italy, something
Miami.
charming. Or Miami, I hear the nightlife is
I
good.
hear the nightlife is awesome there. I actually don't know about the nightlife in Miami. I want to go to New York.
I'm going to go Italy because they have tax rebates if you have celiac disease.
Oh, I went to New York in 2022, and I've wanted to go back ever since, specifically right now to see Darren Criss in maybe Happy Ending on Broadway.
Nice. Some of these are so specific. Like, which movie do you want to see? Foreign film. Okay, that's like a general genre, right? A touching movie based on a novel by Nicholas Sparks.
A movie
What?
about myself.
A quirky, interesting movie.
A comedy.
I'm between the last two, but
I say a quirky, interesting movie.
well, I'm gonna pick comedy to dip. Actually, I would want to watch a quirky, interesting movie because that to me that's like Wes Anderson.
Which lifestyle change would you be most likely to make? Huh, Edward?
Get a new job. Go on a diet.
Get a new tattoo?
Go to rehab.
Finn, can you take this quiz too?
Are you trying to get Finn? Which answer are you trying to get Finn to do?
I don't know. Finn, take this quiz.
Or redecorate my home? I think I'm most likely to like. See, I'm stuck on a diet forever.
I'm gonna redecorate because that seems like something I do quite a bit.
I don't change a lot. So I feel like the most likely thing I'm going to do is honestly redecorate as well because that's the least life-shattering.
Edward, this is a question I've had for a
Yeah.
long time. Who's your favorite celebrity?
It's George Clooney. Of the ones on this list,
Benedict
easily,
Cumberbatch? Rachel McAdams?
it's George Clooney.
Zac Efron?
I'm telling you it's George Clooney.
George Clooney.
That one.
Or Justin
George
Bieber.
Clooney.
I'm gonna pick Benedict Cumberbatch.
Finish this statement. I would be famous because
I'm a great singer.
I want to share my style with the world.
I love acting.
I love being in the spotlight.
Well, I'm not really sure. I love acting.
I straight up, if I'm going to be famous, it's because I like started a cult. I won't lie.
I believe it.
So I guess I love being in the spotlight?
Yes. Correct.
I mean, I do.
If you only had one wish, what would you wish for?
Straight up more wishes.
Money? A new wardrobe? Love? An exquisite mansion? Or Edward's boring answer?
Straight up more wishes.
More wishes.
Well, because it doesn't put off the provision that you can't wish for more wishes.
Okay, Edward.
That's like saying if you had all the power in the world.
I want a new wardrobe. You know what I really want? I really just want the ability to, like, scroll through clothes. You know, like in those, like, fashion games where you can just scroll through clothes. Yeah. You just have them and you just tap
I would
it.
want the actual superpower of teleportation.
Me too. But...
Because then, like Michael and Jeremy, I could steal things really good. Like,
they weren't quiet about stealing our podcast,
yeah,
though.
I
They
wouldn't have to
totally
be
told
quiet
us.
if I could teleport.
That's true.
Literally, do you want to know what happens if you're trying to, like, run away from somebody while you're teleporting? While you have teleportation power? So imagine cops are chasing you, right? They've got guns. You just constantly teleport, like, you just change, like, within, like, a 1 meter squared area, you just constantly change your geolocal position.
Or you just leave.
That, too.
Okay.
But even if it's, like, you can only teleport within, like, 10 feet, like, you
Edward,
can...
how often do you hang out with your friends?
One sec, I've got a size doesn't
Only
matter
on
clothing ad.
only
Hold up,
on the
I'm
weekends?
stuck. Help.
Almost all the time.
Okay, I got it.
I prefer my own company. Pretty often. But sometimes I enjoy doing things by myself. Or probably about 4 times a week. Can I say almost all the time? Because school...
I'm going to say pretty often, but sometimes I enjoy doing things by myself. Because sometimes I avoid people at school.
That's so real. I'm going to say almost all the time. Because I
Calculating results. Who'd you get?
Got Paris Hilton.
I got Justin Bieber.
He's a criminal? Oh, he
Let's
is.
so,
He's a
so I'm going to
criminal.
read off this description.
Okay, go.
Justin Bieber is infamous not only for his reckless crimes, but his interactions with paparazzi that show he still has a lot to learn about fame and its consequences. Bieber has been arrested on alcohol and drug-related charges, as well as being charged with assault and felony vandalism. To read more about Bieber's criminal record, click here.
Paris Hilton is primarily famous for 2 things. Being an heiress to the Hilton family, and for drug possession and DUI-related charges.
Hell yeah, brother.
However, being Paris Hilton, she got off rather easily for her crimes, even being released for her good behavior.
Paris Hilton, hit me up if you want a DUI. I'm kidding, guys. I don't do crime.
Early out on her 45-day sentence. Yeah, that's crazy.
Fun fact about Paris Hilton. She later got involved in something that's technically illegal, but still bad. She was like a huge advocate, or she was a huge celebrity voice in the NFT community.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't invest in NFT, guys. Yeah, and
And if there's one lesson
they're
to
also
learn-
all probably useless.
But that's our only remaining asset.
Yeah. It's the one thing they didn't steal besides the podcasting equipment because it's worthless.
Yeah. No, but just like Michael and Jeremy.
Yeah.
This is such a weird podcast. This is like the unscripted episode.
Yeah, I told you. But it's way shorter.
That's so real. Because I'll edit it down.
Yeah,
It'll be
yeah.
like 2 minutes.
Exactly. All right, guys. Remember, stay
alert.
Stay watchful. Call us if you hear about any of our stuff showing up on like Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
And install burglar alarms.